Let me welcome you to our 20th annual Legislative Outreach Day here at the San Jose Convention Center. My name is Javier Zeldovar, and I am the Executive Director of San Andreas Regional Center. I have the honor of serving all of you and hopefully making a difference and providing the services, the support, the advocacy, and the transparency needed to make an agency function. And in order to do that, I really rely on so many people to help keep us grounded. And when times get tough, and they are tough, that we don't let that tough times break what is otherwise an amazing program. There are times where we really need to pull together. We really need to look and do some soul searching to make sure that we can do it. You know, there was a great game back, I must admit. Nokia had this wonderful phone, and there was a game called Snake on it. And I would love that snake, and I would move the buttons until I couldn't move anymore. And for the last 8 years, the service system has felt like a big game of Snake. We move this way, we move that way, we try to make it work. We are good stewards of the community. We try to provide everybody with equal opportunity, access, support, so that the people who depend on us, we are here to help them live their lives in their community as they see fit. It is not for me or any of my staff to come in and dictate because this is what they feel. We really will approach people with ultimate respect and choice. But for the last 8 years, I've moved my snake around. I have moved this way, I have moved that way. I have really worked with our department. But eventually, like a great game of Snake, you are going to crash into yourself. And we are at the point where we are crashing into ourselves. The system is in crisis. Make no mistake about it. And sometimes we wonder, oh, are you just being drama? And I'll tell you, yes, I love drama. Drama's awesome. But we are not dramatic. I must tell you, this regional center alone, we have lost so many quality providers, not just providers, but quality providers, so that people like Darcy and Jake and David and Cheryl and everybody else that is here, that we give them a quality program, not just a program, but a program where they know that they can depend on somebody, that they're going to come into their home and treat them with the respect that they are entitled to, right? You guys got me? Isn't that right? Isn't it all about respect and choice? And it's about making sure, oh, come on, guys, you got to, I know you're eating that. We decided, what does one voice mean? I'll tell you this much, you know, that's like a nice Thanksgiving Day dinner, right? We bring the family together. A lot of times we may not like each other, we do not agree with each other, but you know, let me tell you, at the end of the day, we sit around together knowing that, you know, we are a family, and together we are strong. When we speak with one voice, don't get me wrong, I am not talking about the Stepford wives, right? Where they are all automatic and we all speak the very same thing. It's about a very same struggle. A lot of what I am dealing with in my state, a lot of our great vendors have been struggling and really trying to provide a quality program in an otherwise hostile environment. And unfortunately, a lot of our providers have hit the end of the road. Their snake is no more because they could not survive with the continued cuts, the rate freezes, and more importantly, the unfunded mandates that are often put upon us. So today, we have an amazing program. Despite all of that, all of you have really made a difference in having your voice heard, and more importantly, in committing. Because, you know, your true character comes out not when times are good, right? Because we're all on our best behavior when times are good. It's always in times of struggles. Just like at that Thanksgiving Day, right? When they start provoking each other, when we start looking around, we're not going to cannibalize each other. One of the things, I had a very interesting conversation last year where somebody told me, it's only 7%, right? IHSS, it's only 7%. Tell that to people like Darcy McCann that require the support. 7% to her meant if we weren't able to step in, that is almost 28 hours where she lies in bed because there's not that support network. It's not about 7%. It's about committing to what that promise was many years ago when the visionaries envisioned something different. The days of the developmental centers are over. The days of keeping people locked away are over. And this is why we came together with one voice. It is not about the county you live in. It is not about the disability you are representing. It is not about money. It is about making sure that we have a support system that is going to be there when I am not here, when these guys are not here, but we know that the program will be there. And that is why we are here. And you are all amazing. Thank you for taking your lunchtime to come out, support us. And now I am going to kick off the program. You ready? Yeah. All right, let's kick off the program. And I have a few people that I just want to highlight and introduce you to. And then we will hand it off. We are very honored to... Francisco, am I just reading them? I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right, I'm trying to coordinate our slideshow here, but we are very honored to have Senator Jim Bell from District 15. Senator Bill Manning from District 17. Richard Gordon, Assembly Member, District 24. Hanson Chu, Assembly Member, District 25. Evan Lowe, Assembly Member, District 28. Ken Yeater, Santa Clara Board of Supervisors, District 5. Ash Carla, City of San Jose Council Member, District 2. Raul Perales, City of San Jose Council Member, District 3. Johnny Camas, City of San Jose Council Member, District 10. Leslie Villegas, Senator Bill Manning Office, District 17. Sean Manalo, Senator Bob Wachowski Office, District 10. Lisa Chong, from Senator Jerry Hill's Office, District 15. Karina Dominguez, Assembly Member for Hanson Chu's Office, District 25. Andres Quintero, Assembly Member for Nora Campos, District 27. Patrick Arhan, Assembly Member for Evan Lowe's Office, District 28. Javier Gomez, Assembly Member for Luis Alejo's Office, down in District 30. Jim Reed, Mayor Sam Ricardo's Office, Chief of Staff. Van Lang Trong, San Jose Board of Supervisors for Cindy Chavez's Office, District 2. Michelle Tincher, Santa Clara Board of Supervisors for Joe Simonian's Office, District 4. David Gomez, City of San Jose, Member Chappie Jones's Office, District 1. Lucio Ortiz, City of San Jose, Member for Raul Perales' Office, District 3. Austin Bruckner, City of San Jose, Council Member for Margie Matthews' Office. Omar Torres, City of San Jose, Council Member. Enrique Navarro, City of San Jose, Member Johnny Camas' Office. And also representing that office is Rochelle Edmonds and Shane Connolly. Thank you, distinguished guests, for being here. A lot of times what we do in the community is based upon the way the community accepts us and the way they help formulate programs. So we're super honored to have you here. We are also honored to have Mr. Rick Rollins from the Association of Regional Center Agencies. I'm not sure if you've heard this next gentleman's name before, Santi J. Rogers, the Director of Developmental Services. And what I do really does depend on the kind of direction I get from my board of directors. They help me shape the future, and they help me make sure that I stay grounded in what I do and that I help shape appropriate programs. We have Ms. Lisa Lopez, Board President.
All right.
We have Debbie Ellis, the Service Provider Advisory Committee and Board Member. Jenna Hancock, Jesse Lechuga, Maya Barakat, Michelle Alanis, Luxino Braumeiser, Jessica Rincon, Troy Hernandez, there you go, Lori Riggio, and finally Jacob Atterbury. I saw him somewhere. There he is. There's Jacob. All right, guys, and on top of that, and of course all of you, you are also distinguished, and we really thank you for being here. And the next person I'm going to introduce is going to help us introduce Francisco Valenzuela, the magic behind a lot of what we do here. Francisco Valenzuela.
Thank you, Javier. When Javier walked in with those flowers, I thought they were for me. I even asked him, I'm like, he's walking away from me. I'm like, wow, okay. You're going to get me something, all right?
I said, I usually take you to dinner before the flower.
Always. Welcome, everyone. How y'all doing? So, we have a gentleman here who's talked about history. Mr. Rogers always talks about history, so I just want to do something real quick. 19 years ago, he planted the seed to have these legislative breakfasts that we had. I was part of 14 years, which would have been 28 legislative breakfasts. And then Javier had this vision of saying, you know what, let's do a luncheon. And so now we're here, Javier's vision of a luncheon. Everybody give him a round of applause. But we can't forget the history of the seed that was planted 19 years ago from Santi's foresight of really bringing elected officials to our event. So Santi, congratulations for having the vision. You know, we're very fortunate to be in a regional center that really is proactive when it comes to legislative outreach. I mean, we've been doing it for so many years. And it shows when we're in Sacramento. Just last week we were in Sacramento for Grassroots Day. We had the largest group. If you went to Sacramento last week, please stand up. Let everybody see who you are, who participated. Round of applause. This is people who took time out of their day to go to Sacramento to meet with elected officials and their staffers to talk about the challenges and also the quality service that people get. But in order to continue that quality service, we need programs. And that's why we're here today to give that message. Before we go on to our next speakers, I want to thank everyone for helping out. The San Andreas staff, if you can stand up, please, for your volunteering today. Everybody stand up. These ladies and gentlemen they're their caseloads and managers. They work in the fiscal department. They have busy days, and thank you all for helping help us put this together today. Really appreciate it. Another person that we need to acknowledge is Debbie Alice from the Service Provider Advisory Committee. Stand up. Debbie's done a lot of behind the scenes. Debbie's been a great champion for San Andreas. She's been a great partner in helping us get our message across. And lastly, I need to acknowledge the PAC members. If you're in a PAC, stand up. I know you guys are here. Stand up. Stand up. Don't be shy. People Advisory Committee, stand up. I know you're here. There's more. Mike, here's your group. So each San Andreas has I'm dropping everything, sorry. San Andreas podium's not the best. I'll bill him for that. Mr. Primiger, why don't you come on and sit down? Go ahead, we'll wait for this. This is a very good man right here, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Primiger. Come right over here, you can have a seat. People Advisory Committee members, what they do is they're advocates. San Andreas serves 4 counties, Santa Clara, San Benito, Monterey, and Santa Cruz County. In each county, we have representatives who are from people that are served. And there are voices, there are advocates. Who better than to tell our stories and tell messages than the people that are being served? It's their stories, it's their message. And we're lucky to have 2 of those individuals here today who are going to share their stories, but one of them is going to share her story on behalf of everybody. Chris, where's Chris? Come on up here, Chris. Chris Gianola. Chris has been an advocate for a long time. She has a great story to share. And she's a great individual, and last year she was one of our recipients of individual served by San Andreas during the Service Above Self Award Center. Chris, there you go.
And thank you. Hi. I want to thank everyone for coming. It's really very important to all of us. I am talking in behalf to all of us who have received service. Many of us have been involved with grassroots. Some of us have been on the board. I'm on the board of Hope, and I'm thinking of going on the board of Reno Center. So the service you give us, you help us to be individuals where we can serve our people. We can live the life you guys are living. The service has helped me. I'm a married woman. I've been married for 35 years. The service helped me to be the best wife for my husband, and I also been working at Target. I got wonderful job coach. But my greater joy is being a part of grassroots. We get to go and talk to the people. We get to go and meet people like Jim Bill, who is my friend because he's been helping us. And I can mention all your guys' names and we will be here forever. But I want to thank everyone. If it wasn't for you, we would not get the service we need. We would not get the service to work at Target or be on the board or do the stuff we do. And I want to thank all of you. Look at Dorothy. She, if you could not give her the service, she could not do what she needs to do. So we all want to thank you. We all want to take. This is very important with our life because we don't want to live in an institute. We want to live independent. We want to have the life you guys have. We want to go to Disneyland or go places and enjoy having a Starbucks coffee if we want. We don't want people to say you can't do this and you can't do that. We want to say we can do it. We can. Yes. We have a voice. And some of us have been on board. Some of us have been on board Hope and Reno Center board. We have a voice, and we want your support. We want to live the life you guys live. We want to go to Target. We want to get married and have a family. We want all that, and we want your support. And that's all I have to say. And I want to thank everybody for adding me to be part of grassroots. I think that one of the greatest things we can do, and I want to thank all of you. There's too many people to thank. I can't even remember all your names, but I want all of you to know thank you in the Capitol for supporting us. And thank you, Jim Bell, for writing that beautiful letter and having everybody sign it. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. She said it herself, right? It's all about choice, and it's all about if she wants to have a coffee with whatever she wants, stone or muffin, I'll prepare it, because that's what we do here. All right, our next great speaker here today is really a champion of the people. There are many times that legislators, they are representing a whole slew of people, a whole slew of interests, and a lot of times we just want a sliver of time. But then the occasion arises where you not only get a sliver of time, but you get somebody that takes it to heart, and they become a champion of the cause, they become a champion of the people, and they become what we all aspire to support people with developmental disabilities. Please help me welcome, as loudly as you can, the champion, Senator Jim Bell.
Thank you very much. You know, I can't top what you just said over there, man. I want to tell you something. I want you to go get an appointment with Governor Jerry Brown. You know, we got to have the governor. We got to have the governor help us, right? I kind of feel we're on our way to get all the legislators to help. We need to have the governor to help, right? And right now, we sent out this letter, and it's addressed to the legislators and Governor Jerry Brown. And it says that we would like to see a 10% increase in the Department of Developmental Services so that we can keep the services provided to people and then make up for the 20 years of cuts, including in just the last 6 years, $1 billion was cut from the department. And right now, I have to report today, as of today, the latest tally, we have 55 signatures of legislators that signed the letter. And now I think Darcy was getting responsible for a few of them when she was twisting arms, including she came by and lobbied me even, the other day, and she got a few of them, and several of you other folks came up to Sacramento and lobbied. But it's getting close, so we have to approve the budget by June 15th. And I hear we're going to keep fighting all the way to the last hour, the last day. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're going to fight. So I want to thank you all. Get your friends, your cousins. If anybody's related to Jerry Brown, we want to help. We want you to help us. We got to get somebody, maybe a third cousin or something like that. We got to get Jerry Brown to help us. So thank you, and I love all of you. My family has been dedicated to the cause for a long time. And a lot of you know that my stepson is a client of the San Andreas Regional Center also, Greg. And a lot of you know that before I was in the legislature, I was lobbying in Sacramento for these same programs, right? Well, when I got there, now I'm a senator, I'm going to really fight as hard as I can to make sure with all the legislatures to get Jerry Brown to cough up the dough, right? So thank you very much. We want Jerry Brown to listen. And we've got to get some people to go up and personally meet with him and contact him. Nothing about us without us. Thank you very much.
We can't let you escape just yet. Come on here, my friend.
All right.
There, as I mentioned...
Try to stop me?
No, I'm not going to stop you one way or the other. And once again, there are so many opportunities for us to say thank you, for us to really acknowledge when people have gone that extraordinary length and have embarked on a journey with us.
Oh, there you are.
And with that said, we, Senator Bell, are very, very proud to present to you, and we're going to show it to the people. It is not just an award. No, it's too heavy, but we'll just hold it like that. This, my friends, is the Luncheon Act, and it is something that he can proudly display in his office in support. And let me just read the inscription here. The Luncheon Developmental and Disability Services Act. We present this proudly on behalf of San Andreas Regional Center to Senator Jim Bell for your continued friendship, support, and legislative leadership for individuals with developmental disabilities. We are so proud to present this to you, and we consider you one of our friends. Please come and join us for coffee anytime.
I want to thank you for this. This is special because on my desk I have the green copy that Santee Rogers gave me of the Latterman. It's the only book on my desk, so when people come in, I pick it up and wave it to them. Now I can wave this to them also. Thank you.
You'll need to be Hulk because that one's very heavy, unlike the actual Answerman Act. So thank you again, Senator Bell. Thank you, thank you. All right, Francisco.
Thank you, Javier. For those of you who know Rick Rollins, Rick is an amazing individual who does a lot of, he's our key person in Sacramento. He really is. When we go to Sacramento during Grassroots Day, he's the one individual, ARCA, who gives us all the talking points. There's nobody better than Rick. Rick, why don't you come on up and say a few words? Rick Rollins, ladies and gentlemen. And you just, Mr. Assemblymember Evan Lowe, would you stand so everybody can see who you are? Assembly, he's been a friend of ours for some time, and now we're lucky to have him in Sacramento.
Well, it's always an honor to be invited to come to San Andreas Regional Center. I think this is my 8th time that I've been asked to make the trek down from Sacramento to San Andreas. And your community is so blessed and has been for many years to have such extraordinary legislators working in Sacramento on your behalf. I have the opportunity to speak throughout California at all the regional centers, and I've got to tell you, the epicenter for the good of this system starts right here at San Andreas Regional Center. And I want to thank all of you, all the parents and providers, and the legislature and the legislators to be for your commitment to my son, Russell, who is 24 years old now. He graced the cover of Newsweek magazine a few years back. And as an autism advocate for many years, I can tell you the concern that we have as parents. And again, I serve as the legislative advocate for ARCA for all the regional centers, but I'm here today really to talk about being a parent of a child with severe disabilities. And what has happened to the system, it clearly is on the brink. There's no doubt when I look around and see my fellow parents with adolescents and adults with autism, there is no new programs that have been developed to meet the need of this population. We've been stuck with trailer bill language that has been enacted over the years, 50 different changes to the Lanterman Act that has tamped down the regional center's ability to provide services both through funding and through things like the median rate requirements and the new program development freeze. The advocacy that we're doing in Sacramento and that you're doing such a great job, and we really encourage you to continue to do all the work you can on the local level, to have as many members as you can sign the Bell letter and to talk one-on-one with your legislator in the district office particularly. Sacramento is nuts, particularly this time of the year with all the committee hearings and the bills, but to make those appointments and talk to your legislator about the need for this 10%. In 1 year, in fiscal year 2009-2010, the state took $332 million out of the system. We're asking for a 10% increase, which is about that same amount of money. So when folks tell you that it's a lot of money, just remind them that of the $1 billion that this system has taken in cuts over the last 4 years or 6 years, in 1 year's time, they took as much as we're asking for with the 10%. And it's not only what's been taken, it's been the neglect in the system over the years with rate increases for our providers. The half of our budget, the $4 billion budget that this system, serving 280,000 people in this system, comes from the federal government. And we made a promise to the federal government back in 1997 when they took almost $1 billion from the system because we were out of compliance with the Medicaid waiver, that we were going to have caseloads at the regional centers that were reasonable. There isn't a single regional center in this state, and they will admit it, that even comes close to the caseload ratio that's necessary. The federal government comes in and starts auditing the system, we're in big trouble, and half of our budget is at stake. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We've got tremendous critical mass, wonderful support in the legislature, and I totally agree with Senator Bell and others who talk about the need for getting the governor on board on this. We'll be seeing what he's going to provide in the May revise, which is the revision of the budget that he introduced back in January, which in fact only was a status quo budget. There was no new increases for anything in our program except for caseload growth. So we're pushing hard in Sacramento. We want to continue to urge you, your friends, families, and everyone to do the same. We're making a difference. There isn't an office that we meet with and a member of the legislature we meet with that doesn't know about our issues, and we have tremendous bipartisan support. If you look at the signatories on this letter, it's Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, independent. It doesn't matter because we all know developmental disabilities is a nonpartisan issue, if there ever was one. So again, thank you so much, and thanks for having me here again. It's always it's very invigorating and inspiring for me personally as a parent and as a professional to come here and speak with you, because again, you are the epicenter for our entire state for support for people with developmental disabilities. Thank you so much.
Let me take the pulse here. How was lunch? Was it good? You guys enjoyed it? Yeah? Good? Good. I'm going to take your word for it because I'm afraid to eat, so I'm not going to actually take a bite, but hopefully you did enjoy lunch. And just to highlight, really, once again, a couple of the areas here in speaking to legislators, people who will listen, in really helping educate people. There are two reports that were issued, and you can find them on our website at sanandreas.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, please. I need a lot of likes. I'm very sensitive. Like me on Facebook, please. But you will also find the reports there. Well, the first report is titled Autism Rising. It was prepared by the Autism Society of the Bay Area. And it really does highlight a trend that we're seeing around relative to autism. So definitely, if you get a moment, you can go to our website, download the report, and it really is a great talking point as we help educate people. The other report, amongst many you're going to find there, is prepared by the Association of Regional Centers, ARCA agency. It's titled On the Brink of Collapse. And what it does, it really does highlight for us where we are, how we got here, the historical, but more importantly, it does give us a little bit of hope and in where we need to be and where we need to go. So those are two reports that you can certainly follow, and hopefully you can help understand how we got here. All right, now back to the program. You know, they say that you forge your journey, right? When you are young or old or whatever, you have a vision for yourself, and you are going to place yourselves in situations as you maneuver yourself through life. Many of us, many of you, many of the individuals we serve, that's what we are trying to do, to give them their life and to make sure that we give them their choice and respect. And along the way, in order to build these great programs, we had visionaries, and we were very fortunate to have a visionary who was the head of the regional center for many years, San Andreas. But before that, he also led an entire different life, working for the department in different capacities, working at the developmental center in different capacities, being a special education teacher in many capacities. And now we are so fortunate, once again, it's like the perfect situation to have a great friend at the department. I am very proud to introduce our next guest, the Director of Developmental Services, Santi J. Rogers.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Oh, good, good. I have something here in my hand, Senator Bell. Where I know where you live. I absolutely been to your house. I'm going to bring you a personal autographed copy of the newest Lanterman Act. This one will wear very well because you and all of your other legislators, senators, and assembly members, and individuals who work at the city and county level. This is a piece of civil rights legislation. If you agree with that, raise your hand. Good. Now, with the other hand, it's a constant effort to maintain this kind of law. And that's the real message I bring. The message I bring relative to those thousands and thousands of people that many of us in this room have met, mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters, people who come in contact with all of those people, have joined a group of people that have advocated in a measurable way. It is constant, however. And the simplest thing I can tell you that some of the efforts we made since this is my 14th month. Now, some people wonder, why would you be counting each month? Well, let me share something with you. It has to do with I count every day. Once you start approaching your 70th birthday, you really keep everything in perspective. And I won't ask anybody in the room to raise their hand if they're almost 70. The most important part about this act is what we learned from those moms and a few dads early on. I always bring, some people say, gee whiz, Santa, you just repeat yourself over and over again. Don't ask my parents who are in heaven. They know I didn't repeat a lot of stuff. I was awake constantly, and I was always bringing the best thing to them. And also, they chased me around the room. They were so happy when I got my first job. Well, it's because of them that I speak of what I'm sharing now, because my father was a volunteer as a businessman at an ARC, Association, the terminology of the era, back in the 50s, of retarded citizens. It's changed now to the ARC, a better way to represent the hard advocacy of those individuals. And what that entailed is we had an opportunity, my sister and I, to meet hundreds and hundreds of other people that I wouldn't have guessed that later on that I'd actually served. In 19-something or other, when I was 12 years old, my father was invited, because he was on that board, to visit a spanking new, state-of-the-art program. Anybody want to guess where it was? I was born and raised in Fresno.
Porterville.
Porterville State Hospital. It had, at that point in time, 2,700 individuals living there. Every one of them had a diagnosis of the era, mental retardation. It was one of the first largest single facility for people with that diagnosis. In that same facility, there were over 600 kids at school age. There was no special in education yet. Matter of fact, many kids were homeschooled, and they weren't always identified that they were actually at home. Think about what I just said. It was the sensitivity of the area. Was that 100 years ago? That was not 100 years ago. It's about 50-some years ago, and it was significant that we moved from there to where we are now. Right out of school, as you already heard, I was a special ed teacher, and lo and behold, after that visit, because of the advocacy of my parents, and they were so happy I got a job, like I told you before, that education was going to be my interest, and it was influenced by my parents and that visit, because my dad would keep reminding me of why I kept asking, why are these kids here? That's a true story. I don't know why I said that. I didn't even remember it that well, but my dad told me that I could say that. And it became real clear. So I had the opportunity to run a children's program at Porterville State Hospital, a special ed program. From there, we moved other places, including Stockton State Hospital, as then brand new governor. What was his name? 1975, Jerry Brown. Came, and many things were changing. The utilization of programs.
Don't mind me, I'm sorry. Come on, you were going to try.
Oh, I was going to trip? That's a high probability behavior. It says, that's great. Thank you so much. Angels around it. I always thought Javier was very well spoken, and now he's actually talks more than I do. That's pretty darn good. Way to go, San Andreas Regional Center. Wow. And he's actually watching out for my safety. That's very cool. From those experiences, I bring a simple message. Everything you heard from your legislators, I'm biased. This is, like I said, 14 and a half months ago, I lived here. I love this. Guess what I'm going to do right now? Ready? Listen to this. My God, I just gave birth to a bottle of water. Sisters, I went to parochial school, but don't hold that against me. That's really something, wow. No place like home. No place like home. And so when I walked into here, boy, this is home. This is great. And that's the reinforcing of the leaders we have here And the constant effort is going to be, our hope is in the May revision of the budget, that there will be changes in that budget. As you know, in the last 14 months, great efforts by this legislature and the legislature who preceded them of reinstating early start. Don't let that ever happen again, that we have to reduce early start. With that, we incrementally started to bring everybody together, and that's the leadership of Diana Dooley, also somebody from the San Joaquin Valley, Hanford, California. And I have to explain where is Hanford. I usually have to explain where Fresno is, but that's all right. The serious part about it is that the effort of incrementally bringing things back. There is no question. There's no question that I'm not going to change my speech of 15 months ago that we have rebuilding. To rebuild what was lost in a relatively short period of time is Herculean. It really is. And every one of you as legislators elected by us, the people, have one arduous task. And that has to be sustainable and explainable. And there we will, because I know, because when in committee, we have subcommittees, and I can't hardly wait for the next 5.5-hour hearing. And we're going to have to answer those questions. I hope so. I hope we have to answer those questions. I'm optimistic that there will be improvements, and now I'll have to run out and light all my candles, because and you have to know what that means. A sister explained to them what lighting candles means. But the serious part is that the substance of what we have is changing. Our interest, bringing the California Department of Rehab, the California Department of Developmental Services, the California Department of Education, I say it really slow, together looking at competitive integrated employment as a movement forward. You've got to say hello to that. That is incredible. And with that, with the guidance of Disability Rights California. Many of you know there are a few lawyers in this room. Disability Rights California are made up of predominantly lawyers who advocate for a better life for the people we serve. Those are just a couple little points. I'm very optimistic of what our task force are. Some of you are members of it. And the task force going nowhere is a waste of time. I don't think we have any patience for wasting time, and I think they too. Every time we meet, almost every other week, they are telling us clearly, are you going to deliver? Are we going to deliver? Yes. Oh, wow, you guys are really bad. Are we going to deliver? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Bless you all. You're great. Keep it up.
My goodness, wasn't that inspirational, right? The great Sandy Rogers. Again, thank you. When the Luncheon Act changes and it's for the better, it's often a really, really good scene, and it is something to better us and to really give more opportunity. One of the things you should keep your eye on, do you remember that movie Jurassic Park, right? They're sitting in their car, and they're just sitting there, but they hear the rumble, they feel the vibrations, they know it's coming. But for me, I'm actually not that scared. My friends, keep your eyes, self-determination is coming. It is here. It is a new way of delivering service. Keep your eye on our website as we launch what really is a program to give you the choice. So, with that said, let's go on to the next speaker. And once again, there are so many opportunities for us to work with legislators and for us to really, really have an impact. And when people give us the opportunity to be heard, it feels good to be heard. And it feels good when they take it to heart. It feels good that they own the situation and they own the service system just like we do. It's amazing, really, because what it's all about is these individuals here that you see around here that made it here today to join us. And when we can create a solid program, it's amazing. And it's legislators and their courage, because as I mentioned, they are representing many constituents and they are representing many areas. It is my distinct honor to now welcome the Senate Majority Leader, Bill Monning. Please welcome him.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by asking, let's all thank the people who served this wonderful lunch this afternoon. I also want to thank all of those who helped organize today's luncheon. I've had the honor of attending the breakfasts that have now evolved to the luncheon, and it's for good reason, because the numbers have grown. And the numbers have grown because this is a movement, and movements grow because they're guided by purpose, not by any quest for individual gain, but for collective purpose, and in our case, of the disability rights community. So I want you to all to give yourselves a big hand for mobilizing for today. I especially want to recognize the work of Javier and Francisco and Board President Lisa Lopez, all the board members, all the staff. Let's give them a special thank you. And to my colleagues in the Assembly, Rich Gordon, Kansan Chu, Evan Lowe, Jim Bell, a good friend and partner in advocacy in the State Senate. Let's thank our legislative colleagues. And I know there's other electeds here and representatives of electeds, but I especially want to thank Supervisor Ken Yeager, who's been a champion and advocate, not just for disability rights, but for health and health promotion in Santa Clara County. Let's thank Ken Yeager. So prior speakers, including the amazing work of Rick Rollins, and let's give him another thank you, because Rick is such an amazingly skilled advocate on behalf of all the regional centers. I don't know if all of you know, his career started, or part of his career was as Secretary of the California State Senate. So if anybody understands how we work or how we don't work, it's Rick. And he brings always good information and concise focus to our work. I have the honor of serving on the Budget Subcommittee number 3. We oversee Health and Human Services, and as Santi Rogers mentioned, some of our shorter hearings are around 5 hours, and some of our others go longer than that. But this is one of the most important budget subcommittees in the Capitol. Why? Because it addresses budget issues related to our healthcare system, to human services, to disability services, and many of you are familiar with the work of our subcommittee because you've sacrificed days of travel to come up there, to wait in line, and often to wait for that 1 minute at the microphone. But I can assure you that while there are a few of us up on the dais in that subcommittee, in all of our Senate and Assembly offices, our staff monitor the television broadcast of those hearings, and they can also be reviewed on public cable TV. So we are reaching a much broader audience. Your voice is reaching a much broader audience. Santi is such a great champion for enforcing the promise of the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act. He carries it everywhere he goes, and he hasn't changed his focus or his voice now that he's the director of the department. We are so lucky to have Santi Rogers, who has experience in the developmental centers that are now transitioning, in our regional centers. Let's thank and give Santi some encouragement as he continues. I know Jim Bell and I were so excited when we saw that Diana Dooley had appointed Santi to serve as director of the department, and we were able to champion his appointment through the full Senate process. So the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act, it is the constitution of the disability rights movement, and within it, it requires that people living with disabilities be afforded the full protection of the state and federal constitution. And you can't have full implementation of those rights if you cut corners on funding the ability to implement those rights. In this last year, we often refer to it just as the Lanterman Act. But indeed, it was Assembly members Lanterman, Petrus, and Short who were the co-authors. And Nick Petrus passed away this last year. Nick Petrus was a champion for disability rights, as his name reflects in the Lanterman Act. But it went much further. I got to know Nick Petrus when I was an attorney with the United Farm Workers Union, where we could not find a legislator to introduce legislation to protect farm workers from pesticide exposure and pesticide drift. And it was Nick Petrus who stood up, a legislator from the East Bay, who was willing to be a voice for farm workers far too often, who did not have voice, just as far too often the disabled community has not had voice. The very vision statement of the San Andreas Regional Center underscores and fortifies the commitment to you, members of the disability community, families, advocates, staff, providers. This is the glue, this mission statement, that an explicit part of it is not just providing services, but it's also supporting those services through advocacy. And that's where your visits to Sacramento, we had a long hearing in April that many of you attended. In the last couple of weeks, many of you attended Lobby Day. I had the honor of receiving some of you in my office, and I also had the honor of being interviewed by Toby and Kanan. Are they here today? These guys are amazing videographers. They are capturing the history of this movement. Let's give Toby and Kanan a big thank you. I'm going to speak for just a couple of minutes about our budget and our budget challenge and our budget crisis. We live in a state based on a tax code that is antiquated. It's based on a state that used to be a manufacturing state that now has become a service-oriented state, and we've exported many of those manufacturing jobs. And our middle class has shrunk. We have more living in poverty and more living in tremendous, obscene wealth, if you will, than ever before in the history of this state and this nation. And as that economy has converted, our ability to generate revenue for state services has become ever more challenging. We need to re-envision, vision, and enact a budget structure that brings the revenues necessary to educate our children, to provide quality health care, to provide disability services, to protect our environment, to provide higher education. The list goes on and on. But it starts with the ability to envision where we are going. And too often when we're in these budget fights, when we face the $41 billion deficit, not because of any malfeasance of the California legislature or the people of California, but because of the malfeasance and the crimes of people on Wall Street who made off like bandits and they bankrupted our state. They're still counting their profits while we're still figuring out how to recover. And as we move on the road to recovery, our economy has rebounded. We've been able to restore some, but not all of our budget framework. And as many of you know, we haven't improved or restored provider rates for over 10 years in this state in the area of disability services, but we have raised the minimum wage for minimum wage workers, an important act of justice, but one that didn't calculate in raising the provider rate fees commensurate to those increases in the cost of living, the increase in wages, etc. So we still have a lot of work to do. But our work is made easier by those who speak with one voice, by everyone in this room today. Never discount the importance of your visits to Sacramento, your phone calls, your letters, your emails. They do get cataloged, they get reviewed, and I will echo what Senator Bell said. We need to focus our voice and our energy on Governor Brown, and I would include First Lady Ann Guth Brown. We need to be a full employment opportunity act here and approach both the governor and the First Lady respectfully but forcefully, and make sure there are no longer blinders when it comes to the disabled community or the broader health and human services agenda. So as we leave today, we should be leaving with reinforced commitment, fortified commitment to focus on the governor. Now let me just tell you, the budget picture is going to be challenging. Headlines say greater than anticipated revenues, and everybody's saying great, more revenues than we expected, more revenues than the governor conservatively estimated in his January budget proposal. But because of Prop 98 and a formula that guarantees revenue going to K through 12, K through 14 education, we may actually face a situation where the increased revenue is all dedicated to education, which is a good cause, but actually requires us to look for cuts in our general fund to support that Prop 98 obligation. Now, this does not make sense. Our revenues are going up, and we're going to be asked to look at potential cuts in the general fund. We need to resist that. There's something called the Rainy Day Fund. And for many Californians, in spite of our drought, the storms have already arrived. We don't need to wait for a rainy day. The storms are here. The storms are here in inadequate reimbursement rates, inadequate provider rates, and ultimately a lack of respect for the voice of our community. I'm just going to close with a comment about overcoming tremendous odds. I started by recognizing this one voice movement as a movement. As some of you know, I had the honor of working with Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta in the 70s and the 80s. And I taught negotiation in graduate school in Monterey at the Monterey Institute of International Studies. Santi was accused of repetition. I was taught that the best teachers repeat often without sounding repetitive. And that's what we have to do. We have to keep repeating our message and framing it with new voices and with new ears to move us forward. With my negotiation students, I would ask, who has the power in this negotiation? A group of farm workers, immigrants, many without legal status, the majority of whom don't speak English, who work for minimum wage or less and have no vote. Or large agribusiness companies that own local newspapers, determine who sits on the courts, elect the sheriffs, run the jails, and market their products using mass communication. Who has the power in that relationship? So on the one side of the equation, the economic power, the police power, in a sense, the publicity power, the judicial power, it was all in the hands of mighty agribusiness. And on this side, the farm workers, no money, no vote, no political power. What was the power that Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta mobilized to win contracts with the powerful, the rich? What was the one power they had that brought them to the bargaining table and won them contracts? Moral power. I heard it. Moral power. And that's the power that we have here today. Our one voice is backed by moral power that is uncompromising and cannot be challenged by Governor Brown, by members of the legislature, by the media, by the rich, by anybody. So if we move forward knowing that this movement is just and is rooted fundamentally in a moral power protected in law by the Lanterman Act, we will win. We will succeed. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be this year, but none of us are going anywhere. We are committed to the cause of disability rights, to the cause of treating every human being with fundamental respect. And it's with that power that we move forward, that my colleagues, Jim Bell and our Assembly colleagues and others, we are an extension of you. The stronger your voice, the stronger our voice. So I look forward to working with you on behalf of you, and let's leave here today committed to each one reaching 10 people that weren't here today and asking them, please write a letter, make a phone call to Governor Jerry Brown, say you're talking about a drought, we're living in stormy weather, we need your help, and we're not going to go away. Si se puede, we can do it, yes we can. Thank you very much. Si se puede.
Yes, we can, right? Yes, we can. You know, let's do it. Yes, we can on that side of the room.
Yes we can.
Oh my goodness, let's do better here in the middle. Side people. And more importantly, yes, we will. And the reason we will is because we have great champions. And again, this is something that we don't take lightly. When we have friends that have really gone to bat for us, when we've had the opportunity to celebrate, and once again, as we did with Senator Bell, Senator Monning, we, on behalf of San Andreas Regional Center, we thank you for your leadership, your friendship. Come on, man.
We're getting there.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll just hold it like this. Let's just hold it like that. You guys, here, squeeze in here, Francis.
This is a copy again of the Lanterman Act that he can proudly display on his desk. Not because it's a fancy award, although it is, but it's not because of that. It's because he's owned it. And he's made it his mission. And once again, for your leadership, your friendship, oh my goodness, again, Francisco? Your leadership, your friendship, support on behalf of San Andreas Regional Center, we thank you for your advocacy, your respect, giving us the choice, and being our champion, my friend. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Here, stand with me for a second.
All right.
Here, Francisco, squeeze in here. Grab my phone. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Si se puede. Come to my office. Come visit our office. You'll see this proudly displayed. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Let me just do a quick plug. Real quick.
Is this on? Yeah. Oh,
Thank you, Senator Monning. What an amazing, ladies and gentlemen, Senator Monning. One more time. We're very fortunate. I could say this. San Andreas Regional Center, we have 5 senators and 6 assembly members. We're very fortunate to have people in the legislature that really support us. And they're not just supporting us, but they're our friends. I want to do a quick plug. Some of you may have noticed outside that you see this flyer. There's going to be a prom in May 16th. There's a great group of people here that are promoting this prom. I've been to hundreds of events with Santi. We used to go to a lot of events. And often when we were at an event, he would actually say this. He would actually say that I was his date. All right? He would say that. He would look at people. So Santi, I have a question for you. Would you like to go to the prom with me? I'll have you home early. It's okay. It's even better. I'll spend less money. Support this cause. It's an amazing event. This young lady over here is putting it on. Stand up. See her. They're on YouTube. They're looking for donations. Please look it up.
Well, there you have it, my friends. Before we go too far, I again would just want to, there are so many amazing people here, and I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our staff once again. Thank you for helping the Luncheon come to life. I want to thank the parents that are here, the friends, the families. How many vendors do we have in the room? Thank you for all you do to help bring this to life. And most importantly, to the individuals we serve who made it here today. And it is amazing to see you in your community and in your way. Hopefully the light rail was an amazing way to transport yourself here today. Very friendly. Hopefully you like the venue. Once again, before I end, I do one final pitch. A lot of what I do is dependent on the board of directors that helps guide me. And if you are interested in serving on our board of directors, I would gladly encourage you to visit our website. By the way, we revamped our website, and it's so easy to navigate now, full of very great information, and you can navigate toward the board of directors and really see the commitment that a lot of the volunteer board has made, but more importantly, in helping me shape the future and to shape what comes tomorrow. I know what's behind me in the rearview mirror. I'm not going to focus too much on that as I look forward and plan for our future. And once again, thank you to all the legislators and our distinguished guests. You giving us a voice and a sliver, it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. And there is no worse feeling than speaking to somebody and you feel like it's falling on deaf ears. But you being here has given us the confidence to continue our voice. We speak with one voice was a great idea as I come back to my end. I again am playing my fun game of Snake, moving my way around my board, and I don't want to crash into myself because it will be devastating for all of us. And on behalf of the San Andreas Regional Center, you are all amazing. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here. Please visit us on Facebook, please. Visit us at our website, and I will be here if you want to chat. The rest of the staff, everybody, thank you, and we'll see you next year.